Did you ever feel so bad inside?
Like woman, one like woman, one. Oh, one like woman,
So bad inside.
Hey guys, it's Macy from Blind Woman 101 back with another video. So in today's video, we're just going to get right into it and we're going to talk about something that is often left in the dark and people are not brave enough to speak about because there's such a high stigma around it, which we'll talk about as well. But today we're going to talk about FND in higher education settings. So if you guys are just clicking on this video, welcome to my channel, Blind Woman 101. My name is Macy, I am 20 years old, and on this channel we talk about FND, communication devices, and everything in between. So if you would like to be a part of our journey and are interested in that type of content, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And let's get right into the video. So for those of you who don't know, I am blind. I have mild cerebral palsy, level 1 autism, sensory processing disorder, and attentive ADHD, and within the past 2 or 3 years now, was diagnosed with something called functional neurological disorder, otherwise known as FND, which for me entails non-epileptic seizures and periods of time where I'm unable to speak or walk, lasting up to as long as 3 days. So because of that, let me backtrack. This is going to be a very vulnerable, very raw video, I imagine. So I just kind of want to get that out there right in front and center before we start. So back in August, I went to college and I was excited for the possibilities, but I was also, I was also very, I'm just going to say this right up front. I was very panicky because I had no idea what I was walking into. I was 2 hours from home. I didn't know anyone hardly. I knew there was a couple of my friends that I knew, like one of my roommates. We had started talking through text and kind of getting to know each other. One of my other friends actually took us on the tour when we toured the campus. So there was a couple people I knew and was getting to know, but other than that, I was quite literally walking into this completely blind. So, and before that, I had previously been 2 months seizure-free. So I was fairly confident that I wasn't going to have another one, but then as soon as I got there, I could tell the panic was rising, and long story short, that first day at orientation, first full day there was spent having seizure after seizure after seizure. I was in my wheelchair, I couldn't walk, I couldn't speak, and we averaged that first week we were there, the first week I was there, we'd all averaged, kind of came together and kept track, averaged 30 seizures a day. Hit a new record. I'm not proud of it, but I hit a new record. So because of that, things had took a turn one night when I came back to my apartment a little bit later. I had to have someone come and get my wheelchair. Ended up getting stuck in my wheelchair from 11 p.m. until around 7:30 a.m. When my roommate came in, and I was finally able to tell someone that I needed help. At that point, that was Wednesday? No. Yeah, Wednesday morning. By that Wednesday evening, I was home again. And understandably so. The college is not allowing me to come back, again, understandably so, unless I have an assistant with me for seizures, because safety and everything that comes with that. So, yeah, that kind of brings us up to speed with everything, and it's complicated because we can't just get an assistant, first thing, because I go to a private college, they're not federally funded, so they don't have the resources to cover. They recommended a couple places, and we were immediately dismissed, passed on. The second we called, we don't do that. We called another place. We generally don't do that. And we tried insurance company. Denied immediately because they did not deem it medically necessary. We tried actual agencies. I was calling 6 different. This has all been going on since like late August, early September. I have tried calling agencies directly. I can't talk. I've looked up several different agencies, had a long list of them, called each place, told them my situation briefly, denied immediately. One wanted us to pay $24 an hour out of pocket. Another wanted us to pay $32 an hour out of pocket. We cannot afford that. You show me someone that can afford to pay somebody else's salary, because it is not us. And, we just kept being denied. There was one time I called 6 different places in 1 week, and we were denied 6 different times by all of those places. And some people say, oh, just get on a waiver. That is a 12 to 15 year waiting list at the very least. So by the time we get on we can't even get on a county waiver, because they first have to come out to determine if they deem me, quote, even eligible, if I even fit their fancy criteria that they have. And by the time they determine all of that and get all the paperwork done, just the evaluation process alone can take up to 90 days at the very least. We've tried asking doctor's notes. They referred us back to insurance. Insurance has referred us back to doctors. And, I call 4 or 5 places a day. And that's not an exaggeration. 4 or 5 places is all I can do mentally. You can only hear no so many times in the day. You can only hear that your needs are way too complex to be met in a day. We even met last week with OVR, Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. Because of my blindness, I do have an OVR counselor. Had a big meeting, got an accordion folder with like this thick worth of paperwork, mountains and mountains of paperwork to be filled out all by January. This meeting, and people don't understand this either, it's not just you book a meeting. No, it is hurry up and wait. You have to do everything quick on your end. And we did this in end of September, early October. Just now, this was their first opening. November 25th at like 9 a.m. was their first opening that they could do. So it is not just schedule a meeting next day. It's not that simple. But we met with OVR last week. They will pay for it, but on the condition that it's required for us to fill out all this paperwork, get a tax ID number to make sure it's legal. And let's say we do all that. Let's say in theory we somehow magically get all this paperwork filled out by January. Oh, and we don't have to get the paperwork filled out. You have to do one step at a time. Do the first step, reach out to OVR counselor, make sure the counselor approves it. Next step, make sure it's approved. Next step, make sure it's approved. Go through an insurance company. Go through an insurance company in the state or the city that my college is in to make sure they approve it. Check with insurance to make sure they can reimburse. Get workman's comp. And once, let's say we do get all of that filled out. Let's say, it's really fast and we're really good at this and we get it filled out. Then, OVR is only agreeing to pay $7.50 an hour. That is minimum wage. You show me someone that's going to do that job for $7.50 an hour. So we get all this paperwork filled out, and we're still not going to be able to find any. The college can't. The college has done all that they can do, and I do get where they're coming from. I really do. In no way am I blaming the college, but people with FND functional neurological disorder because of their non-epileptic seizures, because of their body that we can't always control, and our brain is trapped in our body that we can't always control underneath all of this. We are lost in the broken higher education system because there's not near enough resources. My therapist, I go to a therapy place for people with FND. We've been told there's so many other clients that have gotten kicked out of college, or not even that, but it's impossible to go back to college because the standards that the college sets for safety, and people can't follow those standards, insurance companies, OVR, whoever we meet with, or the process is so long that by the time we can follow those standards, it'll be like 20 years from now, and we won't even be in college anymore. It's like every single hoop that we jump through, the target gets farther and farther away, and it is mentally, physically, emotionally exhausting. We had even thought about, it'll be a temporary situation, which it probably will be, because one, it'll only be a few hours a day. Because of the college classes, I don't only have like 2 or 3 a day. And once I'm back in my room, I should be fine. I just need help with walking around campus, and then need someone on call, not even to sit in the classes with me, but just to be on call in case there is emergency, like a seizure. That way, the professor can keep teaching the class as much as they can, and, everybody's safe, and there's minimized distractions, and whatever. We were going to even try, I'm going to meet with the accessibility coordinator next week just to kind of say, hey, we're struggling, what do we need to do from here, see if they have any resources. But we even had the thought of I'm talking too fast. We had the thought of is there a nursing program, a physical therapy program at the college, that a student can do that and get their hours in that they need for the class. I hate asking for help in that way, but that would benefit both of us. That would benefit the student because they would be getting their observation hours in and their working hours for that class. They would be getting paid, obviously. I'd be able to go back to college. We were going to just pay like $100 at the end of every week. We were thinking about doing that, but that's not even legal because we obviously want to do things legally because we're not going to mess around and get in trouble. At this point, I feel like I'm choosing between my friends and an education. And at this point, I feel like that's not even an option. Because how can I get back to my friends if these agencies and these companies who claim to be so helpful have such a long waiting list, have all these lists of things we have to do and rules and paperwork and stipulations? I'm lost. There's nothing more we can do. And like I said, this is not just me. There are several people with FND across the world who cannot go to college for this very reason. And it sucks because our brains are fully functioning. And, I wish we could just magically get rid of the seizures, or people would see past the seizures and see our brain and see that we're at least worth fighting for to some degree, like all of these insurance companies. And it's heartbreaking in so many ways, and I've just cried for the past couple of days because I'm finally realizing that I'm going to have to, 99% sure, I'm going to have to go online in January, do classes online, because, there's just nothing more we can do. Even, like I said, we can fill out all those papers, we can see if we can get that done and how much we can do, but then nobody's going to work for $7.50 an hour. That's crazy. There's a lack of resources, and because of the lack of resources, people with FND, with disabilities, with chronic illness, are being denied rights to a higher education every single day. And what scares me, one of the things that scares me the most is if people go through OVR with severe cerebral palsy or someone that has a higher support needs, that might need more assistance with like personal care stuff, they're not going to be able to find anyone for $7.50 an hour. That's terrifying. Where does that leave all of those people? Something needs to change. And I have been silent about this for so long. Not anymore. I am done being I cannot be silent anymore. And it is terrifying because it affects so many people. What's staying silent about it going to do? Nothing. You know, people are falling through the cracks every single day. Nobody noticing, nobody cares to notice, and nobody can notice if we don't speak up about it. So, I will update you guys more if we find news, if we have news, but at this point, I don't know what to do. I mean, we're stuck. There's nothing more we can do. If insurance isn't going to cover it, all those paperwork, I just don't want to try to fill everything out and then not be able to find anybody for $7.50, because that's not a lot. People cannot live off of that. People cannot live on a minimum wage pay, especially for a job like that. So, we're stuck. And it sucks. This feeling just sucks. You know? It seems like the harder we work, the farther the goalpost moves. And I feel like I'm making the wrong decision no matter what I do. And on top of all that, you know, I see my friends going to college. I see my friends getting involved in extracurricular activities. And I see them getting involved and they're really busy. And I'm over here, you know, they're over here going, you know, different college events or working a day job while going to college. And I'm over here during the day doing homework at home, making phone calls, sending emails, attending therapy, and thinking, what's my point? What's my purpose? You know, where does this leave me in all of this? Where does this leave other people with FND in all of this? Where does this leave people with invisible disabilities in this who struggle quietly and are too scared to speak out every single day? Something needs to change. We need to do better. Insurance companies, waivers, agencies, do better. Anyway, I know this was just a very raw and very honest, like emotional video, but you know, at this point, I'm angry, and I tried not to say stuff, like, I tried not to admit how this was affecting me, because it's not a side of me that people it's not a side of me that people regularly see, but at this point, I'm done holding back, because I've held back this long, and you see where that got me. So, at this point, we need to speak out. We need to share this with as many people as we can, with as many groups as we can, and something needs to change before more people fall through the cracks and are forgotten in this broken system. If you guys got to this point in the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry, but at this point, I'm done staying silent. I've stayed silent long enough, and it hasn't helped at all. So, I'm speaking out on this topic because it needs to be spoken out on. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hopefully it's a happier one. I do have an AAC video coming up, similar to the one I did before reviewing my communication app, but thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.